We've all experienced this in our lifetime, and what I'm talking about here is the finite lifespan of celebs, bands, pop music and actors. Now some of these people have very, very short lifespans. People, I don't know, just to make something a bit stupid, like Catch a Goo Goo or Bros, or the Spice Girls indeed. Obviously fabricated, but nevertheless they were still able to be used as a tool to harvest our energy. And then what happens is the kind of spell wears off, and they're confined to the history books. Their kind of fame and their ability to harvest our energy was for a very short period of time. You then got other people, I don't know, let's take, Ultravox, or incidentally their song White China, they definitely, if you do a bit of research about them, they were definitely fabricated, and there was some revelation of the method there. If you look at one of their songs called White China, the lyrics are kind of quite, well, it's a revelation of the method. Anyway, you've got actors, Leonardo DiCaprio, harvested energy, I don't know, John Travolta or whatever, but their kind of fame is fleeting. Now, the same, I believe, is true of actors in the world of controlled opposition. I don't know whether you want to call them crisis actors. Some of them are like that, because their role is to kind of hype you up and get you worried. And I think for me that's one of the main things that I look at when I'm deciding whether somebody's fake or authentic, in terms of people who are opposing the narrative. Are they in the business of trying to create as much fear as possible? If they are, and they never offer solutions, then they're fake. They're alternative mainstream. They've been created by the establishment themselves. Continuing the acting analogy, do you remember James Dean? He was quite an interesting actor in that they said he was a method actor. So what that meant was that when James Dean appeared on the screen, he just played himself. Now I think a good example of somebody who's like that is Tommy Robinson. Maybe when he started off, maybe he was actually authentic, but somewhere along the lines he's got turned, hasn't he? And I think I was watching a video from Veritas Vincent yesterday, and he was talking about this 13th of September kind of shindig in London, and Lee was basically saying that it's probably a trap. And also, what I was relieved to read underneath the video was comments from Lee's viewers basically saying the same thing, that Tommy's not the real deal. He's just a stool pigeon. And for what it's worth, I think it's highly likely that that's the case. Having said that though, I do think he's a very, very good actor. He's one of their best, really is. He's in that James Dean category of a method actor. The other thing that I'd say too is that there's a couple of one web forum in particular that I go on, and that was inhabited mostly by normies who thought that they had something about them. And even on there, maybe 6 months ago, they all thought that the football hooligan from Luton was the real deal. He was like genuine opposition. But even they have sussed him out. So it's a bit like, Catch a Goo Goo. They had the moment in the sun. Tommy Robinson, he's had his moment in the sun where he could harvest energy and he could influence people. I suppose another thing you could say is that Tommy was an influencer, wasn't he? He set the agenda and stuff. But I think his ability to do that has diminished. He's like the Spice Girls, by the year 2000, done and dusted. he's had his little fleeting moment of fame and that's him done. His ability to influence has diminished. It's gone now. And I think it'll be quite interesting to see what happens on Saturday the 13th September with this event. And I don't think many people will turn up for it. And personally, I think that that's a very good idea, not to turn up to this sort of thing. Because they're going to use it. They're going to use it. It's a bit like that other thing that happened about a year ago, about the same time of the year, where they had this kind of thing, this far right thing, right? And they mobilised all their Antifa people and everything, the George Soros's Barmy Army, and they were expecting the English patriots to turn up for a big fight, and then they could, like, say, problem reaction solution, we'll bring in the control grid. But what happened was that we weren't as stupid as they thought. We kind of saw through that this was a massive stunt. I think this followed the kind of Southport thing, didn't it? Anyway, no one turned up, so the Antifa goons had no one to fight with. And I think the same will be true with this one, is that the establishment, the powers that shouldn't be, want a big turnout. They'll then have agent provocateurs in the crowd kicking off, and then, you know, maybe the police or people dressed in police uniforms attacking, and then they get the pictures, and then they get their excuse for digital ID and more facial recognition cameras and all of that. But you see, the thing is that if we don't turn up, they can't, you know, you can't have a theatre production without the actors, you know, and if only one set of actors turn up and the others don't turn up, well then they can't go ahead with their kabuki theatre production, and so they can't play the problem reaction solution games. So personally, I'm very, very pleased that people are seeing through the likes of Tommy Robinson. Another famous actor that many people like, including myself, is, my name is Michael Caine. Can't do that, but, you know, Michael Caine. Now, for me, I think that Paul Thorpe, he reminds me of Michael Caine. He's very good, isn't he? He's very, very good. He's got the tattoos. He's got the, like, properly tuned up Cockney accent. And yeah, he's the same thing. He's bloody good at his job, admittedly, you know. And you know, it's quite funny actually when you watch. I have watched some of his videos, and they have that music on in the background, don't they? The background music, that you used to hear pretty much only on American YouTube channels, you know. What's he called? Alex Jones and all of that, with the background music. Honestly, fake as what's it. Anyway, I think people are sussing him out as well. So they're actors of crisis are fading stars. Their ability to influence is rapidly diminishing, and that is a huge problem for the establishment. A huge problem, because it affects their ability to play these problem reaction solution games. Bit like that Smiths song, innit, off the last album. On their hands a dead star, double-side. Sorry. I don't know about you guys, but as time goes on, I'm realising that more and more of the alternative mainstream is fake. So, UK fifth column, I mean, right. Lotus Eaters, even people like Academic Agent. I'm no longer, loads and loads and loads of them. And as I say, for me, the big giveaways are, apart from the slick production values and everything, but they're in the business of trying to create as much fear and anxiety as possible, because they kind of feed off that. Oh, I don't know, trigonometry and all of that. I've not watched them for like 3 years. Oh yeah, the other one I was just watching today somebody called Mick Dixon. I recognised his face, and he was interviewing somebody called Bo Dade or something. Bit of a weird name. From Lotus Eaters, and all that, the number of these channels now that are all pushing the same thing, which is civil war. So it's something that I've been warning against. They are desperate for that. They want to split society up and then get us fighting against each other, and then they can come in with the problem solution and say we need a digital ID to keep restore order. Funky Prepper's another one of them, you know. It's just like, spreading both the kind of and then also fear as well. So on this podcast I was watching, they were going on about, oh well, the Civil War, right, it's going to be maybe a bit like Northern Ireland with the IRA, you know. And straight away I think, well, what they're going to do here is probably do some false flags, because that whole thing with the IRA, I don't even believe that was a genuine movement. I think that was all MI5. They paid off kind of psychopathic mercenary type people to do all the bombing and stuff on both sides, and they played the kind of divide and rule games. So I think that that's what they may well do, you know, but this time it will be between people of different ethnicities and religious groups. And then what they hope, you see, is that they can get something organic going, you know, because people, they're not very good at turning the other cheek. And, you know, maybe you lose somebody in one of these events, and it's revenge, isn't it? They hope that they do something that's inorganic in the hope that it's going to create a reaction from us lot to make it real. You know, using that Plato's cave, they might cast a few shadows, and then actually what they want is for us to make it real. The flag thing is another one of those. I have no doubt whatsoever that flag thing was started by them. And what they really hope is that ordinary people will copy, they'll mimic it and start doing it themselves. So something that was inauthentic becomes authentic through kind of people copying it. That's not to say there's nothing wrong with flying a flag or whatever. That's maybe a topic for another day, actually. The other thing as well, you know, Lee mentioned this, people flying the flag upside down. What I think that's all about is that's them doing that 100%, so they can go far right, moronic, knuckle drag. They don't even know which way the flag is. So that's MI5. They're putting the flags up, and they're putting some of them up the wrong way around, and they're doing that on purpose. It's kind of fairly obvious. So final thing is solutions. Yeah. So what's the solutions? Me personally, I'm in Finland anyway, but I certainly wouldn't be in London on the 13th, because there's a propensity for them to try and stage something, and you don't want to be an unpaid actor in one of their theatre productions. So yeah, but that doesn't mean you do nothing, because there'll be people going, oh yeah, but what do you suggest? Like, what I suggest is things that really will hurt them. So first one is only ever use cash, right? So no more paying for anything with a card. Take your cash out, spend it anonymously. Refuse to use things like self-checkouts. More of us are doing that, but we need to talk to other people too, encourage them, explain why we're doing it. And yeah, that's something that we can definitely do. Another thing is Max Kaiser's idea, killer corporation. So I've heard Tesco, they're not opening, you know, in their supermarkets, they've got hardly any checkouts open. So just select a corporation and then basically refuse to buy anything from them. Now over here in Finland there's a company called Fazer, They make all sorts of stuff, chocolate. It's a big conglomerate, food conglomerate, cafes they've got. And they applied the biomedical fascism, you know, that kind of the Nazi pass, to their flagship cafe in Helsinki during the nonsense. And somebody took them to court. Anyway, because the legal system is kind of crooked and bent, they ended up losing. But what I'm noticing is that there's quite a lot of people boycotting Fazer. Now, kind of here in Finland, at least a quarter of the population didn't take part in the experiment. So if Fazer's turnover, their total revenue, dropped by 25%, that would cause a collapse in their profits. Their profits would fall by far more than 25% because companies like Fazer have got huge overheads. So their variable costs might drop by a quarter, their revenue might drop by a quarter, but their fixed costs, their overheads would stay the same. So the drop in profit would be far more than 25%. So that's something else that I firmly believe in, is trying to kill these corporations, and you kill them by boycotting them. You pledge never to spend a penny with them ever again. Now, and that can be done locally too. So for me, there's one pub in Pori, I'll never go to it again because they were extremely zealous. This is Beer Hunters in Pori. They were very big fans of the Nazi passport. So really sorry about that, but you're no friend of mine. And I'm just going to use my free will, my right as a consumer, to go and drink in other pubs. I'm never going to drink in there again because I didn't like your attitude. It's just something personal, and I think we need to understand that we have an enormous amount of power. So yeah, those are the things that we can do, and that's all I want to say today. So God bless.